This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you.
But very simply, he's not doing everything possible. There's no vaccine requirement for federally regulated air travel or interstate travel. No attempt to require vaccines on federally subsidized mass transit systems. No trying of vaccine status to Medicare or Medicaid benefits. No tying of vaccine status to food stamps or other federal benefits. Which begs the question, why not? We're going to table that for a moment and talk about what he announced today. These are the new measures put in place in a speech a couple of hours ago. Vaccine mandates on about 100 million Americans, roughly 2/3 of all workers, including requiring the vaccine for all federal employees and all federal contractors. Using the Labor Department to mandate employers with more than 100 workers be vaccinated or undergo weekly testing. Workers in facilities that take Medicare or Medicaid must be vaccinated. Plus, the president promised to fight governors exercising their rights to keep out mask mandates. Tonight, we're covering this from all angles. We can tell you there are already court challenges coming, especially and specifically one from South Dakota. Art Del Cueto represents thousands of Border Patrol agents who are pushing back on these mandates. Dr. Joseph Ladapo is going to give us insight on whether or not the pandemic has been as bad as Biden says it is today. Liberty Vittert answering the question, do mandates work? But first, does the president have the authority to do all of this? For that, we turn to constitutional scholar and Professor Josh Blackman. Josh, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. All right. Settled law that private employers can do basically whatever they want on this. What can the federal government mandate private employers do?
Well, the federal government has taken a position that if you have unvaccinated employees, you have an unsafe workplace. You've probably heard of OSHA, which is about safety and health in the workplace. And what the Labor Department has said is that if an employer doesn't require vaccines, their workers are unsafe. I'm not aware this law has ever been interpreted this way before. This is a sort of novel and very creative way of reading federal labor law.
And it's going to be about a $14,000 fine from OSHA, a civil penalty, essentially. There's going to be challenges to this in court. Which side of the argument would you want?
I think Biden has a little bit to worry about. Whenever you try to read an old statute in a new way to authorize a vast expansion of federal power, courts are skeptical. Also, this does intrude upon individual rights. There's religious liberty exemptions, there's exemptions for disability. So I think this flat out mandate may have some legal difficulties ahead.
All right, so there's going to be legal challenges. We know that already. I want to play you a soundbite from then President-elect Biden back in December about vaccine mandates. Take a listen.
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power, just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationwide.
Is that soundbite going to matter at all in court?
No, I don't think it's going to matter much. They'll say Delta changed everything.
Okay.
What I think is important to stress is that mandates are often counterproductive. People still might be persuaded that the vaccine is right for them. But if they're forced to be vaccinated, they may resort to fraud. They'll simply submit false cards to the employer. I think we also might see people willing to lose their jobs over being vaccinated might actually lead to unemployment in a perhaps unpredictable way.
What does it tell you that all of the things that we talked about at the top of the show that could have been done, vaccine passports to fly, vaccine passports to use the subway in New York or take an Amtrak train, weren't done? Is that because there's not the political will or there's not the legal power?
Well, I don't think there's legal power to enact those sorts of travel bans. I think there's also maybe not legal power to enact this employer ban. But this is the quickest shot to increasing numbers. Not everyone rides the train. Not everyone rides planes, but just about everyone has a job. And if employers are requiring this, I think Biden can juice the vaccination numbers in the quickest fashion possible.
I guess in a way, it also gives employers, say, in red states who would face a backlash from employees if they were to have a vaccine mandate to say, look, it's not our fault. That's what the government's making us do.
Right. It definitely gives employers cover. And they probably decided this was the quickest way to increase the number of vaccinated people nationwide. But just to be clear, it's mandate vaccine or testing, right? They don't have to get vaccinated, but the testing is not free. And that cost we put on the employer or perhaps employees, which is why it probably becomes a vaccine mandate.
Yeah, there all of a sudden becomes a pinch in the pocketbook. Wanted to get your thought real quick on this. Got 30 seconds. LA School Board just announced a vaccine mandate in the past 30 or 40 minutes for all students 12 and up. Is that going to face the same kind of legal challenges we're talking about?
Well, schools have long had authority to impose vaccination requirements. I think that's probably okay from the state governments.
Gotcha. Josh, brevity from a law professor is both rare and much appreciated. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.